I woke up one day and there was this thought, I don't want to live anymore.
We had lunch and then you said that I met my dad on Facebook.
Why am I choosing this relationship? Why am I behaving like this?
I have money, I have family, I have everything, but still something is wrong.
It wasn't breaking free, it was just another prison. But I never ever forget this picture my whole life.
Ooh. I think people really need to be ready to take psychedelics.
Yes. But if it was his deepest wish, who am I not to tell him not? It was never enough.
It's very hard to let it go.
I have to fight for it.
The following is my conversation with my dear friend Sandra, who shared her life story that never shared before. She met her father first time on Facebook when she was already grown adult. She had a lot of family trauma in her life, and nevertheless she was able to become free, happy, an amazing mother, amazing entrepreneur. So please listen to her story. I'm sure she'll inspire you and give you some tips how to live a happier life no matter which stage of life you're in. Enjoy. I remember we were together at the retreat Elevation Barn, but then we had lunch, and then you said that I met my dad on Facebook.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is crazy. So I want to start right with that. Tell me about it.
Well, I was raised by my grandmother and my grandfather, and I never met my dad, actually. When I was 18, we had like a small dinner. This was where I saw him for the first time, and it was really, really nice, but then I never saw him again. It was always in my mind to know him better. I knew always there's a side of me I don't know. It's like they're my roots, part of my roots. So when I started my journey in 2017 of asking, who am I? It came again across, right? Who's my father? I knew he's from Turkey, so I knew I have got different roots than the ones from Germany. So who is he? Who am I? And scrolled in Facebook, and I knew his name, so I just was searching for him, and then he came up. This may be him. It was an older photo in the 70, 80, and I thought, okay, this could be him. So I just thought about a few hours sitting there. Okay, should I add? Should I not? Should I add? Should I not? And then I added. And I said, okay, so maybe this time we are going to connect. Maybe this is the time. And I guess within 5 minutes, he responded immediately.
What did he say?
He said, oh my God, so good that you found me. Let's meet.
Wow.
That's it. So yeah, there's where our journey started. So we met, and 2 days later, he drove to my home country. It was 2 hours away from his. He's living in Berlin. And then we sat in a little cafe and were talking, I guess, 4 hours, just talking about everything, but not about what happened and why we didn't meet and everything like that, just about what is now and who am I, who's he, like for 4 hours almost, and it was like meeting an old friend. It was like we have met before, like I know him since years. It wasn't like that, but it felt like that. It felt so warm, so natural. Yeah, and I felt good with it. So that's where our friendship and our new journey started, actually, back there.
Wow, I have shivers going all around my body just listening to that.
Yeah.
I guess for me, who don't know the whole story, it sounds strange on many levels. One level would be, as a father, let's say I have 2 kids, and let's say something happens and I cannot see my kids. I would still strive to meet them earlier. But seems like from this story that you were the first one who initiated that. So why didn't, if you have such a close relationship when you met, why didn't you meet before? Why didn't he make an effort to connect?
I don't know. And the weird thing is, I don't care. It's like before, I always ask myself, why? Why do I not live with my parents? Why do I not have a normal life like it's supposed to be? I was a little bit envious about friends who had like siblings and living with their family in a house and something like that. And I was living with my grandmother, which was okay, right? But I always asked myself this the whole years. But when I met him, I didn't care anymore. And until today, we rarely talk about it because it's not part of our journey. And I, for myself, I don't even question it. I know him now. I know he's an amazing person, and he's a little bit like me. I feel like, oh my God, this is me. This is so great now to have someone who's like me. I feel loved, I feel welcomed, and I don't question why, because I know there has to be a reason.
Yes.
So it's okay for me not to know.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Because for myself, if I would experience something like that, I think that forgiveness would be very hard.
Yeah.
To some degree. Have you felt anger? Have you felt some resentment before meeting him?
Before meeting him, yes. There was all kind of emotions. I always felt like I'm not worth loving. I have to do something, in order to be seen and to be loved. And this was also part of my history in my family. There was a lot of anger, there was a lot of frustration, I was sad, there was everything in it. And there was always this little voice, like, why? I was with my grandmother living, and I was always kept asking myself, why is there nobody who wants to love you? And the weird thing is, when I met him, it was gone. It was okay, now it's part of me, it's fine. I never had the feeling to ask him. When we are together, we rarely talk about the past. And even about how was my life before I knew him, right? And this is crazy. I never felt this before. I don't have the desire to forgive because there is nothing to forgive.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very powerful.
It's crazy. I don't know how to explain it.
I mean, my parents divorced as well. So even though my father was around, I always felt like I need to earn love.
Yeah.
Because he's not there anymore. Yeah. My child mind would say, well, he's not loving you. That's why he left, right? Which is completely not true. But we create stories.
Well, yeah, my parents never have been married. My mother was very young. My mother and my father, they were both very young when I came. It's never been planned that I'm alive, right? It just happened. And I guess it was pretty overwhelming for both of them in the 70s to have a child with 18 years. I mean, this is what I really understand. It was overwhelming. So it wasn't easy, and they never got married.
Did your mom tell you anything about where's your dad? Did you ask?
Yeah. My family always told me right from the beginning that, like, my grandfather isn't my dad. They could have told me, like, I was raised with my grandmother and my grandfather until I was 5.5 years. Then my grandfather died, and this was pretty shocking. But they always told me, like, from the beginning that I have another father, that I have a father, that he's from Turkey. I knew his name. I knew everything. Right from the beginning, they were always very clear with that. And this is what I loved, because I experienced this with another friend of mine who didn't know that she has a father, like, which is not her. She was raised with a grandfather and thought it was her father. And then we were in school, and they put something on the table where her real father was mentioned. So she was like 9 years old and read that her father is not her father.
Wow.
And this was such a huge shock. And so I was always grateful that from the beginning, even if it wasn't easy for me, I knew that my parents, like, my mother is not living with me and my father either. So I'm raising with my grandparents. This is fine, but I have parents there. So I knew it.
Why did your mother not live with you?
I guess, well, she was very, very young. At the beginning, she was living with me, and then she got her own apartment. I mean, she was 18, 19, got a job. And I know now that my grandparents always had the plan that afterwards I moved to her. And when I was 4 years old, so they told me that my grandmother went with me to Spain to a last holiday in order to explain to me that now I'm going to live with my mother. And during this holiday, my grandfather died.
Wow.
Yeah, he had a heart attack, and I was there. And since years, I couldn't go into hospitals, because I experienced the whole thing. And afterwards, my grandmother felt in a deep hole of darkness, and my family didn't want to keep me also away from her, because they thought, oh my God, if we now take Sandra to her mom, what's going to happen with her?
Yes.
So I stayed. For myself, I never understood this. Like, I was also, when I grew up, I was really angry about that. It was always coming up. Why did you leave me there? Why did you leave me there? My whole family. Now I'm fine. I know why they did it. I'm really fine with it, and I understand. And this was a long, long process of forgiveness, really long. Maybe I'm still sometimes in it. This is why I never went to live with my mom. Then she married again and went to another city. I was 8 years old, and they asked me, do you want to come with us? But I had this feeling that I can't leave my grandmother, because she was also a little bit emotionally pressuring me. But if you go, I have no one like this.
Yeah.
So as an 8-year-old, what do? You stay where you are. That's it.
It's interesting how adults put such a big pressure
Yeah.
on kids to decide things that they
Yeah.
don't have any clue what's happening around
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. So this was like I grew up. I mean, my grandmother, she really loved me. This is what I really can say for 100%, even if she had her own issues, but she really, really loved me and always tried her best. I know that. But it was also hard. She always tried to control me. She always tried to keep me where I am in order not to leave her. Like, this was hard, pretty hard.
So how did you, I guess, if you can call it break free, how did you break free?
Oh, this was a long journey. The first thing I did was marrying.
All right.
Like what you do. Oh, yeah, I want to marry. I married very young for the first time. So I went to my own apartment, and this was pretty trouble in my whole family. Ooh, I even had an aunt who told me, like, oh, yeah, when you leave now your grandmother and she's going to die, it's your fault.
Wow.
Like this. So I was 21. So I left nevertheless, and my grandmother always supported me in that way. Like I didn't went close, like 20 meters from her home, actually. It's nothing, right? So I married very young. This was my first step to like breaking free, even if it wasn't breaking free. It was just another prison, but just to do something, yeah.
Looking back, and we're going to get to it in a second. Looking back, do you think you married because you wanted to break free, or because you really wanted to marry, if you know what I mean?
I guess I never wanted to marry.
Just
I guess
a way for you to
yeah,
find
it was even obvious going away. It was more, oh, there is someone who loves me. Let's build a family together and have roots. I guess when I look back, it was more that. I wanted to have my own family. I wanted to have roots, even if I never wanted to have kids. Even I didn't want to marry, nothing like that. But then it felt right, and I'm a person. I'm very when I feel I have to do it, I do it, no matter what. Sometimes maybe I have to think a little bit more. I know that, but I'm just into it. So yeah, I rushed into it very quickly. I married my ex-husband, and that's where it started, like my own first movements. Yeah.
And how did your relationship with your grandma change, if any, when you got married?
None.
Didn't
Not
change
at all. Didn't change at all. No. She loved. She supported me during the whole way. It wasn't quite easy because my husband was from Cuba, and like with all the paper stuff and all these things. So she always supported us. It's like she really liked, or she really wanted me to be happy. And no matter if she was afraid or anything, I guess it was more the other people who were afraid what to do with her now, because I'm not there anymore to take care 24 hours. It was okay, I guess. Of course, she missed me, and of course she was supposed to have someone around her, but she knew now is the time to have my own part of living, yeah.
So if we go, you said it's a long story, so we have time to go for that, because there seemed like a lot of value there.
Yeah.
So you married this guy who's from Cuba.
Yeah.
Did you meet in Germany?
No, we met in Cuba. I've been there for a few months, like 6 or 7 times, and I loved Cuba and I wanted to stay there. Actually, the plan was I'm staying in Havana, but I couldn't. With the regime there and with the pressure, and I'm a very free mind, open mind, and it was really a problem. So I told him, why don't you visit Germany? And he doesn't want to. He just said, no, I don't want to go to Germany. Why? My life is here. He had a job, he had a house, he had everything. So he went with me, and it was a pretty shock for him, I guess. But then he stayed, and he stayed only because there was no other opportunity, because I couldn't live in Cuba. And this is how he went here. So yeah, this is how our marriage started.
Wow. And then you guys had a child.
Yeah, but this was planned, I have to admit. I felt like, I always wanted to be a young mother. I don't know why, but I always wanted to have a lot of kids. Not only one. Now I have one. well. But yeah, he was planned. It was really like, okay, let's get pregnant. And then within 2 weeks, I was pregnant. Like I
Nice.
manifested my
Yes.
child. Yeah, actually, it was the second one. The first one I lost. And well, we haven't been married. It wasn't planned. So it was okay. But it was really, I needed like a lot of months to get over it.
Wow, Sandra,
I
that's
know. I have a lot of.
the level of trauma.
A lot of trauma. Yeah, I
I-
took everything like
Yes.
on my way. Okay, let's take this. Oh yeah, this trauma. Oh yeah, this trauma could be maybe mine. Yeah, just take it.
Yeah, I feel sometimes I don't know why, but on some level we just attract trauma. It's like
Yeah.
something that things are not going well and
Yeah.
suddenly nothing goes well and it just
Yes.
like snowballs. Same with like if things are going good,
Yeah.
often it like it multiplies.
Yeah, I guess I was like a Google algorithm searching for the trauma. But like I never felt traumatized. I always felt happy. I trained my brain since I was, I guess, 6 years old to see the positive things, always. So I'm always reframing, always, every day. Like some days I just woke up and like I was full of joy because I could buy myself a new book.
Yes.
And I knew this book is coming out. Oh my God, this was amazing. This day was like, oh, I love this day because my book is coming out. This is how I trained myself to see always the positive things, always seeing solutions and never seeing the problem and getting stuck in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you, and I think that's an amazing way to live happier, but also for me, I try to do a similar pattern, but what I find that I don't deal with the problem itself. I don't
Yeah.
process the trauma
Yeah.
by just saying everything is fine, everything is good. So while short term, I think it's a valuable way to
Yeah.
handle trauma, for a long term, it just accumulates somewhere
Yes.
and then it just bursts open.
Yeah.
It could be much worse.
That's what it did, actually. Yeah, this is right. I knew my whole life that I have to go into this trauma. Like where it all started. Actually, when I was born with 6 months. And the doctors told she's not going to live. They told actually my mother, like, yeah, you're going to have a lot of child, so no worry. This is what you tell a mother with a newborn child.
Wow.
Really. Like this started. So I always knew I had to go back to the part where my grandfather died and to get all of this shit out of my body. I knew it and I resisted for years, for decades, actually.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did he die right in front of you?
Well, no, I remember, I can't picture it, really. I remember this day we were in this apartment and I draw him a picture of a Viking. And I gave it to him and he was laying there like, oh, I don't feel so good. And I said, oh, yeah, should we stay with you? And he said, no, just go to the beach. I will come after you. And this was the last time I saw him. Then we went to the hospital. There came a man to the beach talking to my grandmother, telling her that my grandfather had a heart attack. And so we went to the hospital and I went with a nurse. And she gave me these little Easter eggs. I don't know how they are called. I remember I can't eat them until today. So in order just to attract me with something else. And then we went in this escalator up and down. And then the escalator opened and I saw my grandfather lying there with my grandmother.
Wow.
Yeah, and I never, ever forget this picture my whole life.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so I couldn't,
yes.
so I couldn't go since years to hospitals. Even when I entered a hospital, I got like panicking, and also cemeteries. I didn't want to go. Yeah.
Cemeteries is generally not the best place to go.
Now I like them pretty much
Really?
because they're so silent. It's so amazing. There's history lying, There's stories to
That's
tell.
true. That's a
So
good perspective.
yeah, I really like it. But when I was a child, I hated it. Yeah.
I want to talk about your healing journey in a second, but I want to, I guess, go for the trauma first to continue going through trauma. So I assume that separating and having a child is a traumatic event as well. And so can you tell me anything about that?
Yeah, this is another story, and in respect to the people who are in it, I'm not going to tell everything. But it wasn't easy. I was quite young. I moved to a different city with my husband to the house where my mother is, because we decided to stay there and to get to know my mother better. So this was a wish of mine, and he could work in my mother and my stepfather had a company, and he could work in this company. So I said, okay, let's go there. I was still studying, and I wanted to stay close to her. Like usually, you if you have children, you want to stay with your parents. So so we moved to another city. We moved to. At first to the house to my mother, then we had also an apartment, and it was quite a challenging time. There have been like 7 years. We've been 9 years together, 7 years married, and I left him when my son was 1 year old. Like this was for the first time, and it was really quiet. We never had a big fight or something like that. Never, because I didn't want to, because we were a child. So it was quite difficult. It wasn't the best relationship I choose. I tend to have toxic relationships actually. So this was a good point of it. But
why do you think that?
Because of my childhood. I know it's the history of not being loved, feeling to do something for someone, not being enough, like this feeling, looking for love in the outside. I didn't have any self-love at all. Even when you've seen me, like, oh, she's so she knows like where she is, and she's very self-assured and all this stuff. But I wasn't. I was so insecure, and I had no idea who I was, and I was just doing the things other people tell me. So I guess this is why I choose this kind of relationship, because I felt I am needed. Yeah. It was crazy, obviously. But some of my friends have been like this. Even some of my bosses have been like this. So it was a pattern, obviously. I knew it. Maybe I didn't want to see it for a long, long time, but I knew it. And so, we got divorced, and it was okay. I decided that we can't be together anymore. I had no trust anymore, and it wasn't a good relationship at all. But the best part was my son. So I'm very, very grateful for this time. I wouldn't change it at all. Maybe not this long, yeah. But I'm grateful that I have my son.
So you were raised without a father. You had to seek for your father. Your son is growing up in a, I don't know if father was around or not. That would be my next question. He was around. He was.
Because of my history, I always wanted him to be around. So I tried everything that they keep in contact. Wasn't the easiest way. Now they don't have contact anymore, but he's 21 now, right? It's his own decision, but I always wanted him to take his own decisions. It's not my decision to tell him, don't keep in contact with your father. I'm just the one who's there, who's talking to him. And so, we never had this like, this weekend it's your child, this weekend is my child thing. Never had this. It's just like always like, come whenever you want, do something together whenever you want. And when my son got older, he called him alone. Just like, this weekend I'm going to my dad. Yeah, okay, just go. So this was never anything between us. So we never thought about this. And this was very important for me,
I think that's very powerful, because you had such a big trauma around that you could just say, I need to keep my son to me. What happened? Have you ever had the feeling that he might leave you and live with a father? Have you had fear around that?
Yes, of course, because my ex-husband always was tried to keep him emotionally close. Like he was feeling weak and telling my son, oh, you can't leave now, I'm alone, I just have you. And every time I recognized this, I just got right in the middle, just one more time and you will never see him again. But because I didn't want him to pressure our son. And this is what he was trying once or twice. And I always recognized, because I knew my son. And when he was there, like, oh, maybe I'm going to live with my dad. I was always like, okay, why? You can always, it hurts, of course. But if it was his deepest wish, who am I not to tell him not? But I knew there was always something behind it, and I was always right. Like, okay, what is it now? What did he tell you? So, it happened quite some time, but not so often. So it worked out.
Because especially when children are young, it's very hard for them, again, to discern if that's a manipulation happening there, or something happening from
Yeah.
a pure heart, because young kids,
Yes.
that's what I love about them. Everything you tell them,
Yeah.
they treat it like a truth.
Yeah.
They're like an open book. So it's very important who writes to that book
Yeah.
and how they write to that book.
Yeah.
And I guess you had a lot of trauma around this yourself.
Yes.
That's why you learned to
Yeah.
make sure to protect your son from that.
Yeah, and of course I made a million mistakes. I'm pretty sure about that, and I wasn't on my journey to recognize my own patterns and my own behavior and to get into my trauma when he was raised. So I guess he got a right big package of it. So
Yeah.
this is what happens, of course. But I always tried my best not to do the same mistakes. Like I didn't want him to feel like I felt. I wanted him to feel loved. Like there's always someone, and this is what I tried. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think this trauma affected your motherhood in general?
A lot.
In which ways?
I was working a lot in order to achieve something for my son. I worked too much.
Okay.
Pretty too much. I was like all the time working. Sometimes I was driving 300 kilometers just to bring him to bed, and then the next morning again 300 kilometers just to bring him to kindergarten or to school. Instead of just staying and I always was like, I don't have a choice, because when I'm not going to work, who's gonna pay the rent? This was always like difficult, but I know I worked way too much.
You think it was an escape mechanism of some sort to not to face your
Yeah,
traumas,
of course.
I guess?
Yeah, of course. My work was the only possibility for me to be seen and to feel enough.
Yeah.
So it was, to be loved, to be enough, to be worthy. So this was for me 100% what I wanted to do, and I was like working. Always working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you achieved great heights in your career. How is that feeling enoughness? Did you feel that you're enough and loved and everything is great once you achieved your pinnacle?
Of course not.
And that's very important, right?
No, never. I never reached something in my mind. Never.
Yeah.
When there was a goal, that I knew it, it's done.
Yeah.
Next goal, it's done. Before the goal even was reached, I had a new one, or 3 new ones, or 4 new ones.
Yeah.
It was never enough. I never celebrated myself for reaching something. Never. It was like, yeah, okay, next. Yeah, okay, next.
Yeah, I can relate 100%. I started running, and then I'm like, I'm going to run a marathon. I ran one, and
Yeah.
like, I'm going to run 3 marathons.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to do a triathlon. And I was like so proud of it, because when you are in your own thoughts, you're so proud of doing something, but you never ask yourself why you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize you're doing it because you're trying to hide your pain.
Yeah.
And once your pain is in front of you, then you're like, okay, I understand. No, I don't need to run at all, because I'm fine sitting here and talking to you. I don't need to go running.
Yeah.
But the same as making money. You feel that as soon as people start to think that you are this rich, successful person, things is gonna change. But it's not them.
It's not. No.
It's you.
It's you. Yeah.
And you don't change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is
this is crazy. Yeah, in the outside, I guess they always thought like I've got everything, and I had nothing at all. Really, not even money, because I always had this collaboration between, or like I always thought like money is love.
Yeah.
And so then I just like, okay, then I have to spend the money to someone in order to get to be loved, to be seen, to be enough. So I never had money actually. Or I was at that point where I resisted the money, because I had this weird subconscious thing that I thought, okay, the money and my mother are like it's very close together. So if I receive money, it's like the love of my mother, and I don't want it anymore. So it was crazy.
Wow.
I had a therapy with it, so it was really
How
crazy
did that connect it?
It was. I have no idea. My mind is a little bit weird, really crazy. But I guess like it was. Yeah, I always had like an issue with money, so I thought, okay, just do something with your money mindset. And then it came up. It's not the money; it's the point of my mother. It's like the connection to my mother. I always connected it with money, with love. So I resisted it at some point, and I didn't want to have money. It's like, so just go away. So it went away, right?
I think it's also interesting how when you make money not to get this good energy and bring people
Yeah.
value, when you make money in terms of to prove somebody
Yeah.
something, then subconsciously you want to spend them so that they give you more money.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm just going to get rid of all the money I
Yes.
have, and then I'm going to make it again to prove you again
Yes.
that I can make money 100
Exactly.
times.
Yeah. And it can't be easy, right? Has never been only joy. Like, I've never been playful, joy, just happy. It always had to be achieved.
Yes.
So why can I have tons of money and living my best life? I have to fight for it.
Yeah.
So I always started fighting again. That's what happened.
That's a very, very powerful realization.
Yeah.
The one thing that you told me that was really cool in regards to your motherhood, when your son was going to school and he had hard time, you were telling him, don't worry, just take time off. Tell me about that was very powerful.
Yeah. I have to say that my son, since he was like 9 or 10 years old, he always loved Japan. He loved to go to there, and he always wanted maybe to spend there a year in school. But he was also always like loving to be home, like no changes, loving to be home. His friends, he knew, like it was a quite difficult thing. And then he was just like, it's getting on my nerves with this Japan thing. And I thought, okay, before we go to Japan, or before you go for a year, we go together like for holiday, but because I know you, when you are there, after a week, you're calling me like, okay, can I please come home? No, you won't come home. So we go there. So we went there for holiday, how it started. And he loved this. He loved it. He just said, yeah, I really want it, but not now. He realized how far it is from home, right?
Yeah.
So he went to school, and since he was 9 years old, he always had issues with the school. He always was questioning, why should I go there? Why the hell are this stupid homework? I don't understand why we should do that. I guess his teacher were getting crazy. And me as a mom, back then I wasn't like I've been now. Now I would have been more relaxed, like, yeah, I know you're right. Just get out of this. But back then I was, oh my God, how do I get this kid, like he's 9 years old, through this whole time of school, when every day I have to question or have to discuss with him to go there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't see and he had a rough time in school also, because he is someone who's like, he has a point of view and he tells it.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect, but not with other kids, So it gets you right in the front.
Yes.
Yeah, this is what happened. So when he made his first degree in school, and then I thought he would just go off from school, and he just, no, I'm staying. I'm going to make my A-level exam. Like, I guess it's college in America. I have no idea. And I told him, like, are you crazy? I'm so glad that you finished school. Why the hell do you want to go there again? And he said, I don't know what to do, and my friends are doing it. And I just said, yeah, just leave school and have fun, and I buy you a ticket, just go to Japan for a year. But he wasn't ready. So he tried a year, and it was a disaster. He tried a second year, and it was a disaster. And then within the second year, like, we had this point where he came to me and said, okay, now I'm ready. Now I'm ready to leave school. I'm ready to face my fears, because he was really, really afraid of meeting new people. Like, putting him in a room with new people and he had to talk to them was the most awful thing you can do. So he said, yeah, I want to overcome this fear. I want to go somewhere else. You were right. Just buy me this ticket. And then Corona came.
Yes.
I said to him, okay, just we're going to do it anyway. And he's manifesting things. He doesn't know how powerful he is. He was saying, yeah, I don't know. I believe I'm going to Japan for a year for work and travel. And the frontiers were closed. There was nothing open. Like, the agency we were talking with, they told, no chance. Like, we don't know when. Maybe next month. And in November he went, actually. It was March it was February when he decided. And in November he went. There was this, I guess, 3-week opening of the frontiers, and he was so fast in the embassy, getting his ticket, and then he was gone. And he spent 1 year in Japan. He left school, no plan B, and just we had this contract. I told him, you know what, you've got 5 years. 5 years of exploring yourself. I'm going to pay everything. You're going to have here once or twice, you're going to have jobs. This is for sure. But just explore the world, explore yourself, get yourself to know better, and then you know what you want. Now it's not the time to know what you want. Just have fun. So this is how we stayed committed to each other.
And he's still traveling.
He's still traveling.
Beautiful. And what does he think about all this?
He's very grateful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. He was like in the first 2 years, he always like wrote me that he still was a little bit ashamed of it. Because like, oh, I'm here traveling, living my best life, and I know you have to work for it. I was like, yeah, no worries about that. This is what I decided, and this is what I committed to. Wow. So I don't care about the money. I mean, really, I don't care. And this is the best invested money. I told him, this is the best invested money of my whole life. Yeah.
But I'm just thinking, it takes so much power and strength, especially for you, who had this fear of being alone, of being abandoned, not being loved, to say to your son, your only son,
go.
Go.
Yeah.
How did you process that in your mind? What?
This wasn't easy. Well, I left him actually for the first time when he was 18. I moved to another city, like 4 hours away. I left him with my family, actually. He wasn't sitting there alone, right? But I moved to another city for another job. I hadn't my own company at this moment. So this was for the first time, and I traveled like in the first weeks, every weekend I traveled there and this was really bad. It was like, I didn't know that it felt like when you lose a person, it was really deep pain in my heart. And every time I left like the apartment and went to the other city, I was just crying like, oh shit, what have I done? What have I done? Wow. And he was 18. I mean, really. So I knew this is a hard process for both of us. And he got into this Corona time, and it wasn't easy for him. He got almost into a depression. So I was like, oh my God, what a kind of bad mother am I? Right? I keep asking myself this question, but I knew it's now the right time. So when I get with him to the airport, and I knew I don't see him for a year. I guess the 5 hours drive back home, I was just crying the whole time. Oh, I hated it. Every second. I hated it so much to let him go. But I knew it was the best thing I could do as a mom. It's my job to do the best for him, not for me.
And how are you handling it now? With time, did it become easier? Are you feeling that
easier.
He loves it and you?
Much more easier since, every few months he's back home. Just staying for a month or for 2 months home and telling me like, oh yeah, I love to have hotel mama. I love to be home just to relax. And then he's like packing his things and going. And It's now so easy. We got even closer in the last years, much closer. I love that he's sending me photos of his experiences. He invited me to Korea to meet his friends there, to get to know what he has seen. It's important for him, so I'm going to go this year. And I can see and I can feel how he changes. Sometimes I'm talking to him and I'm thinking like, wait, this is usually what I'm saying. Who the hell are you? Like he has a completely different mindset, still a way to go, I know, but I love to see his way. Beautiful. And this is what I'm doing. So next month we meet up in Turkey and so it's
with your dad.
With my dad. And so it's so fun when we talk to each other. Okay, where are we gonna meet up? Like last year he was in Korea, and we met in Los Angeles. And so it's like, okay, he's always saying like, when someone is like listening to our conversations, it sounds like a crazy millionaire family, and we are not not at all, not even close to it. But it's so fun because we choose the freedom or the liberty to meet wherever we want to. We don't need the home in a specific city. We just need to meet ourselves, no matter where. Yeah, and this is what I like.
Interesting how all it took in reality for him to take him out of the system that he didn't enjoy, give him responsibility and opportunity to do whatever he wants, clean slate, and it completely changed the person.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing that sort of you said, but for many people will not register, how the person went to school for many, many years. And the only thing I believe people should get from school is learn how to network and connect with other human beings. But because the school system is so fucked up,
Yeah.
in the end you say,
Yeah.
I cannot connect with anybody.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to really get out of there,
Yeah.
go as far as possible to start connecting with other people.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, this is so crazy. Yeah, the system is stopping you from getting to know yourself.
Yeah.
This system isn't working. I mean, really, this is
Yeah.
bullshit.
How's your relationship with your son and your dad?
It's good. It's really really great. Well, not at the beginning. My son doesn't want to meet him.
Okay.
It was like I told him, like, when I knew, okay, we stay in contact. After a few months, I knew okay, we stay in contact. I told my dad, yeah, you have a grandson actually. I said, oh yeah, I want to meet him. And I said, okay, I know my son. When I'm telling him new things or new people, he's always resisting it. He always said, no, I don't want to. No matter how I do it, I know it. So I knew I have like to drop and seed and drop and seed. So it was quite a process. And then I told him, and he said, yeah, it's good that you are connected, but I don't want to meet him. I'm not interested. I don't care. Whoops. Oh my God. So we discussed it a little, and then I just put, he was a week in Berlin, in the hometown of my dad, where I was raised to, or where I was born to. And so I wanted to like get him back home with a car, and then I put him in the car and say, oh, yeah, we're going to eat something before. And I didn't tell him that my dad was there, that my other brother was there, and my stepmom was there. I didn't tell him.
Oh, so your dad has another family?
Yeah, he has another family, yeah. And I didn't tell my son. And right, we were in front. I told him. And I thought, okay, what's he going to do? Is he going to slap me in the face? Is he going to run away just to the train? And he was quiet, and he was saying, okay, now we are here. So then he went, and within, I guess, 20 seconds. It needed 20 seconds. That's it. They love each other. They really love each other.
It's interesting, right? How we build boundaries on something we don't know.
Yeah.
Because we had certain traumas and social relationships in our head.
Yeah.
It's very hard to let it go. But as soon as the energies meet, there's no resistance.
No, it was so fun. We were laughing the whole time that he loved them and they love him. And so it's, this was like every time now when I tell, we're going to visit, he's just like, oh, yeah, let's go.
Wow. I really admire you as a mom. Honestly, like whatever you're saying, I'm like, wow. I wish every mom was something.
Oh, I'm far away from perfect, but I'm trying my best.
Exactly. I think that's the most important.
Yeah.
Just consciously trying your best.
Yeah, I know I had done so many mistakes when I wasn't on my journey. I knew it. So, I'm still sorry for this. And so I try my best now. That's all I can do. I can't like do anything in the past. I can't change it. So do it now.
Let's talk about a healing journey. I think it was, especially I think last few months, I think it was very, very important for you to let this trauma go. So tell me about what was a catalyst for you to realize that, okay, I do have a real problem, even though I have money, I have this family, I have everything, but still something is in a core, something is wrong. So what was the catalyst to that?
Well, this was 2019, actually. I had a real bad fight with what I thought was a close friend of mine. It was really, really bad. And I was so unhappy in this time. I was unhappy with my job, even if I was successful. I had my second university degree. I didn't care. I had like not really close friends anymore. So I was in the shape of my life, actually. I was pretty healthy. I was running a marathon, like 10 kilometers. And like, I didn't even enjoy it, but I did it. Like, it's because it was like good for my head and good for my body. So I was pretty in shape. I was like, maybe it was the fittest time of my life. I was successful, but I was so unhappy. And then I know when we had this big fight about shit, I woke up one day and there was this thought, I don't want to live anymore.
Wow.
This was so hard. It hit me really, really. So I got up like, what the hell are you thinking? you've got a son, you've got a responsibility. So now this is going to stop. And I knew since years I have to look like what's going on with me. There must be something with me wrong with me. Why this person can always come into my life. Why I have these sick relationships. It has to do something with me.
Yeah.
So I started like, okay, what am I going to do? It's like dying is not the perspective, but I knew I have to take a decision now. It's just left or right. So I remembered, and this was the funny thing, I remembered a book inside my cupboard, and it's called The Code, The Way of Positive Thinking. I never read it, never. It was there since a year, I guess. And so I remembered this book and was getting through the pages, and then on the last page there was, I guess, an email or something like that from a mental coach. And I thought, oh, maybe mental coaching is something for me. Looking for a solution, always looking for a solution. I knew therapy isn't something, because I didn't know where to start, and it was too complicated. I was okay, I'm not, I don't want to go there. It was weird for me at this time.
Yep.
So I thought, okay, just coaching sounds good. I had a business coaching actually, but never like something is going really deep inside. So I wrote, and I guess within 2 days or the next day, the head coach, as a woman, responded me, and we had a nice conversation. And she was like asking, like, yeah, did you want to have a coaching? It's like, yeah, I don't know why. Like, I always have this weird people in my life. I'm always coming to the same point. I'm not happy. My career is just stopping, like this, like in the outside. And she was laughing and saying, yeah, I have got like, we have a group if you want to join. No way. I don't even talk to myself about emotions. Are you crazy? I couldn't. I didn't feel myself anymore. I was afraid about talking about emotions. I didn't even feel these emotions. So I thought, no way. She said, yeah, we have one-on-one, but we are booked out for the next 6 months. So, and then she said, but one canceled like today or yesterday. So you can come in 2 weeks if you want to.
Yeah.
3 days. I was just like, yeah, I'm in. You don't want to know or interested how much it costs. I don't care how much it costs. I'm in because I know now this is the way to go. And this is where I started, actually. The point of getting into the trauma.
Yeah.
And it was after these 3 days, for the first time in my whole life, I had this feeling of knowing who am I, without the expectations of all the other persons. Why am I choosing this relationship? Why am I behaving like this? It was like the start. I thought, I know, but it's peeling the layers. So I felt peace for the first time. And I thought, okay, I want more of this. I want to have more. I love this.
Yes.
This is where it started, actually. Yeah,
Wow.
So this is where my journey started.
That's a big hack most of those people who write those books, they do consulting because that's how they make money. You don't make too much money from writing a book. So if you're listening or watching and you want to connect with somebody who is an author, just write them an email. They probably can work with you. Yeah,
that was crazy. And what I didn't know is that this woman, who was his head coach, was specialized in toxic relationships.
All right.
I didn't know that. So it matched perfectly.
You manifested yourself,
yes.
the right people. And how did it go from there?
Well, I decided that I want to be by myself a coach. So I took all these certifications and like NLP master. And when you are on this journey, you're always looking inside yourself. You can't resist even. So yeah, I met new people. I met like new friends, kind of new family for me. And I changed completely. Like when I see this complete journey, I have to say I'm not the person like I was 4 years ago. Completely not. I don't even have the same friends. Not at all. I don't even live in the same area. So it changed. My whole life changed. And I'm still on my way, It's still like, okay, now next level. Now what's coming up? What's inside now? What do I have to go? Where do I have to look at now? But now I'm not afraid anymore. I did therapy. I did coachings. I did everything. Like, okay, let's try this. Oh yeah, this is also a new way. Yeah, I feel it now. So yeah, I know I'm not good. I'm not feeling good. So let's help. And I'm very, very fast now to search for help.
Yeah.
This is what I learned. I'm still on the way. It's still difficult for me to letting people or allowing people to help me. I'm the one who helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's getting easier and easier.
So you tried a lot of different things. Out of all of them,
Yeah.
what one or two was the most profound so far?
Well, I made a therapy, not a long one, but I made a therapy. This was really amazing because we went we got this connection, by the way, with the money and the mother. This helped me really, and yeah, Bali actually. That was crazy. I knew the last year with Bali helped me a lot to do new ways of transformation, to go deeper, to let go, I guess. So yeah, it's a huge step for me. What I made forward the last year. Yeah.
Are you open to talk about your plant
Of
medicine
course I am.
journey?
Yes.
So what medicine was it, and how was it? And let's take a premise that you haven't tried any
Yeah.
what people call medicines or drugs before that.
No, never. I don't smoke. I never tried weed. No, I didn't try anything. I don't drink even much alcohol. I'm very careful with this because of some issues in my family and all this stuff. So I never had the desire even to smoke, like nothing. So I don't rarely take paracetamol or something like that, you know. And so I was always afraid about all kind of psychedelics, plant medicine, you know, like a year ago, I would have told you, like, no, go away with this shit. I don't want to do anything with it. No way. I just, yeah, have fun, but not me. And I got in contact like with mushrooms, and somebody asked me, my whole body reacted. Like I was panicking. I was like, oh, interesting. And now I'm at the point when I'm panicking, when I'm fearing something, I know I have to look at it. I know this is the sign. So even if I don't like it. But so I knew, okay, maybe you should think about it. I'm just like, I have to think about it. But I felt, yeah, it's calling me. So like during the last year, I talked to so many people who had experiences, and I liked what I hear. I really liked it, and it was calling me. So when I thought, okay, what to do? Yeah, I thought, okay, maybe ayahuasca. I had also like some friends who experienced it in all parts of the world, and they told me, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe ayahuasca is the thing. So I thought, okay, when I saw this Netflix docu also with
How to
what,
change your mind or something?
yeah, because it was like, okay, I thought, like, yeah, when I make a docu of it, this must be something maybe you should look at. Then I thought that, okay, this sounds like this part with LSD and all this stuff. It sounds like, okay, it makes sense. Like, yeah, my head started like, yeah, it makes sense. And so yeah, I got like deeper into it. I thought, okay, maybe this ayahuasca thing is something for me. I really maybe, but yeah, it never happened actually. So yeah, where I started was like I had a Bufo experience.
Yeah, right into the core.
Amazing. This was amazing. I was really, I am really afraid of losing control. I'm really, really afraid. So it wasn't an easy decision. It wasn't a decision which I made like waking up in the morning, oh yeah, let's do it. Like, no way. I don't even go to a pharmacy, right?
Yeah.
So, but, I felt in my heart that now is the time to let go. And maybe to see what plant medicine can show me besides of what my head knows.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is why I decided to take Bufo.
Did you become,
as a first experience.
Did you become this crazy drug addict that steals persons on the street now?
No. Not at all.
That's
this is so
that's
crazy.
A perception of people.
This is so. This is so crazy that we were like in school. They tell us all the worst stories about drugs, all about like when you grow up in I don't know if it's a Europe thing, that you just have this fear about any experience.
Yes.
Like this feeling of everything is bad, about losing control. Everything is bad. What you don't know, like don't do it. You're getting addicted. You ending up on the streets or whatever. This is like, yeah, what's on our mind when you think about all these experiences.
To be fair, I actually think about the same thing. But to be fair, there are some very addictive drugs that,
yes,
if you're a young person who doesn't know what to do,
of course,
and you just want to get high on some heroin or some crack or whatever, then that can get you into some
Yeah.
slippery slope for sure.
Yeah.
But when you try things like Bufo, the last thing you want to do is go and try that again right away, because you downloaded so much information in
Yes.
your head, and it's so traumatic in a good, or sometimes in a bad way that you need to,
Yeah.
that it's not something you just want to go and like, oh, have fun at a party.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I liked what someone told me like a few weeks ago, that there's always a good and a bad intention.
Yeah.
No, and it's about drugs, it's about alcohol, it's everything, you know. You always have a good and a bad intention.
Yeah.
So I, for myself, can say or reflect now that it couldn't be earlier.
Yeah.
It wasn't the right time. It was a real decision, a serious decision I took. It wasn't like, oh, let's do it. It was a real deep decision. So this is what I wish, if people would do it more, like this is a really serious decision to take in order to have a transformation or have an intention about it or whatever, then yeah, I guess this would
I completely agree.
change.
I think people really need to be ready to take those
Yes.
psychedelics and not be taken lightly for sure.
No.
Because I've seen some examples where
Yeah.
just people's minds change, they get completely lost. And is it good or bad? I'm not here to judge, but I'm
Yeah.
saying is, if you feel called that you need to do something, if you're seeking for it, then it will present itself.
Exactly.
But if you just want to try, like as a tourist, I just want to go try some ayahuasca in the morning,
Yeah.
it's can get really nasty.
Yeah. Yeah, for me it always was pretty clear that if I am going to decide to take anything at all, it's a deep, serious decision and a conscious decision.
Beautiful.
Like never anything else. This is because I've seen so much devastating stories in my life. I never wanted to end up like this.
Yeah. I have two more questions. If Sandra of now meets Sandra 4 years ago, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
Be it's not an easy question. I guess I would tell the Sandra that she is loved and shouldn't question that, never ever at all.
Wow.
I guess this is the most important thing she should know. Yeah.
Beautiful. And the final one, how to live a happy and fulfilling life according to Sandra.
I guess there is no way of how to. It's just do what you feel. I guess this is a happy life for me. Like, be yourself, trust your gut, and trust your intuition, and just do what you love and not what your head is saying. Like, listen to your body. This is a happy life. If you're listening to your body, you can't do anything wrong.
Beautiful. Well, you're definitely loved in our circles. We love you very much, and I really appreciate your positivity. And as a mother figure, I look up to you, and I think that you're doing an amazing job. And I really appreciate you sharing your story. I know it's not easy, but I'm sure it's going to impact many, many people. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
And for everybody listening, please like and subscribe.